21st of August in the year 2026. A lovely good evening and welcome to Camnet TV main news. Let's now take a look at the news headlines. State House rejects claims of arbitrary arrests in Zambia. Police refute claims that Patrick MWANSA died in custody. Supplementary budget risks squeezing social spending, says CSPR. In international news, new protests in Tunisia calling for ousting of President Kais Saied. In sports news, FC MUZA opens Super League transition season against NAPSA Stars. Join us for these and many more stories after the break.
Get all the latest updates in court news only on Camnet TV. We take you and make you feel part of the court sessions through our in-depth coverage of the adjudication process. Get informed on those who have been arrested, delayed and denied the police bond or bail victims, persons taking plea, court adjournments, verdicts, and those administration issues in the judiciary. You can also follow and give us a like on our social media platforms. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. RenGlow, your smart irrigation partner.
News now showing on Topstar channel 106, streaming live on Facebook, YouTube and on the Kenstream app. With the main news in detail, I'm Tapelo Joe Smarter. State House has rejected claims that the government is conducting arbitrary arrests, insisting that security agencies are carrying out lawful investigations into suspected criminal activities and threats to national security. State House Communication Specialist Clayson Hamasaka said political affiliation, public prominence or allegations of persecution could not shield anyone from lawful investigations where authorities have reasonable grounds to suspect criminal conduct. Mr. Hamasaka said the government was concerned about what he described as a sustained campaign by some citizens and sections of opposition-aligned media to portray legitimate security investigations as politically motivated arrests. He said Zambia remained a constitutional democracy governed by the rule of law and that security agencies had a responsibility to establish facts, secure possible evidence and determine whether offenses had been committed. Mr. Hamasaka cited several matters that he said had raised legitimate security concerns, including reports of high-grade military weapons allegedly found at private residences, claims of specialized or mercenary-style training abroad, statements threatening political violence and assassination, and attempts by individuals to declare presidential election results before the constitutionally mandated authority had concluded the process. He said investigations should be allowed to proceed professionally, impartially, and within the law, adding that cases supported by sufficient evidence should be taken before the courts, while those lacking evidence should be closed in accordance with due process. Mr. Hamasaka also addressed deaths occurring in circumstances connected to security operations and investigations, saying every loss of life was regrettable but should not be used to obstruct legitimate inquiries into potentially serious security threats. He further criticized individuals who evade investigations by leaving the country and subsequently portray the investigations as political persecution. He urged commentators and human rights advocates to exercise responsibility when discussing ongoing investigations, arguing that the protection of human rights should go hand in hand with respect for the rule of law. Mr. Hamasaka said citizens had a right to due process but also had a right to live without fear of political violence, assassination, armed destabilization, or unconstitutional attempts to seize power. The Zambia Police Service has dismissed social media reports claiming that detained suspect Patrick MWANSA has died in police custody, saying he is alive and in good health. In a statement issued on Friday, Deputy Police Public Relations Officer Chipo Kaitisha described the reports as false and misleading. Police said Mr. MWANSA's family has been visiting him and has been granted access in accordance with established procedures. The service condemned the circulation of what it described as unverified information, warning that such reports could cause unnecessary panic, anxiety, and distress to Mr. MWANSA's family and the wider community. Police have urged members of the public, social media users, and news bloggers to verify information before sharing it, particularly when it concerns people in police custody. The service encouraged the public to rely on official communication for accurate and verified updates concerning detainees and other police matters.
The Zambia Police Service has noted with concern claims circulating on various social media platforms alleging that a detained suspect identified as Patrick MWANSA has died while in police custody. The Zambia Police Service wishes to state that these claims are false and misleading. Mr. MWANSA is alive and in good health. His family has been visiting him, with access being granted in accordance with established procedures. The Zambia Police Service strongly condemns the circulation and dissemination of unverified information, particularly information that has the potential to cause unnecessary public panic, anxiety, and distress to the affected family and the wider community. Members of the public, social media users, and news bloggers are therefore urged to refrain from sharing or disseminating unverified information. The public is encouraged to rely on official communication from the Zambia Police Service for accurate and verified updates. The Zambia Police Service remains committed to upholding the rights, dignity, safety, and welfare of all persons in its custody, in accordance with the law and established procedures.
The Zambia Police Service has summoned former presidential candidate Brian Mundubile and lawyer and politician Makebi Zulu for questioning over alleged links to activities that authorities say could threaten national security. Police Inspector General Gravel Musamba said the summons followed several years of investigations conducted jointly with other law enforcement agencies into what he described as serious national security threats. Mr. Musamba said police had served official call-outs on the lawyers representing Mr. Mundubile and Mr. Zulu and expected the two to appear on the specified date. He said investigators wanted to establish whether the two men were connected to activities that had been taking place at premises owned, managed, or linked to them. The police chief also disclosed that authorities knew the location of the two men who he said had sought protection under international law from a known international organization. He said the government had engaged the organization and assured it that Mr. Mundubile and Mr. Zulu were entitled to due process and protection of their fundamental human rights. Mr. Musamba warned that police could summon other people who may possess information relevant to the investigations. He urged anyone lawfully summoned to cooperate with investigators, while warning that people who resist lawful police requests through threats, violence, or attacks on officers could face action under the law. The police statement also revealed that law enforcement agencies were investigating suspected terrorism and terrorist financing, which Mr. Musamba described as threats to national security.
The call-out has been saved on their advocates, and we do hope that they will avail themselves on the specified date. In part, the purpose of the SAIED interview will be to establish the link and the connection between Mr. Brian Munduvile and Mr. Makebi Zulu on one hand, and the various alarming activities that have been going on in the country, on the other hand, which have the potential to threaten or undermine national security, some of which have been conducted on premises owned, managed, or linked to Mr. Brian Munduvile or Mr. Makebi Zulu. The Zambia Police Service, in collaboration with other law enforcement agencies, is aware of the location of the duo who have sought refuge under international law with a non-international organization. The government has already communicated with the SAIED organization and made assurances that the suspects are entitled to the due process of the law and their fundamental human rights, and that there is no harm intended to be done on them in any way. In the same regard, the police is likely to invite the other members of the public who may be regarded to have information that may be of high value to the ongoing investigations. And the public is hereby advised to cooperate and help with investigations whenever they are lawfully summoned.
We now take our first set of commercials, but join us for more news when we come back. Do stay tuned.
For immediate coverage of any breaking or latest news in Zambia and around the world on Camnet television, call the numbers on your screen. Camnet television, bringing to your screens fair news, impartial news, credible and reliable news all the time. Get the whole truth on Camnet World News. Camnet Television, not just another channel.
Enjoy the benefits of an instant loan with us ranging from 1,000 kwacha to 750,000 kwacha paid express once collateral is viewed, valued and verified. Call us on 0763 595 359 or 0779 432 993. Classified Financial Express, here as your financial friend.
Potatoes, the unsung heroes of flavor. From crispy chips to creamy mash, potatoes are the versatile superstars of your kitchen. Grown with love by our dedicated workforce drawn from around the community of Palavana. Savenda Farm's commitment is to see to it that we have potatoes that are grown right, healthy, big and tasty. For that quick meal that brings family together, top chefs rely on the Savenda potato to create culinary masterpieces. And for others, it's that icebreaker to a delightful conversation. So, embrace the magic of Savenda potatoes. They're not just a side dish, they're the heart and soul of your kitchen. Savenda, save nations, develop Africa.
Welcome back and thank you so much for still joining us on the Camnet News Desk. We continue with the main news. Zambia's decision to increase domestic borrowing to finance a supplementary budget risks squeezing social spending, according to economic analyst Isabel Mukelabai. Ms. Mukelabai said the review of the country's economic performance during the first half of 2026 presented a mixed picture, with progress on economic growth, lower inflation and debt restructuring offset by revenue shortfalls and rising spending pressures. Ms. Mukelabai, who is also CSPR Executive Director, said the government had approved a 26.3 billion kwacha supplementary budget during the period under review, citing pressures from public service wages, fuel costs, and outstanding obligations under the Farmer Import Support Program. Government also authorized an additional 7.5 billion kwacha in domestic borrowing, increasing the approved domestic borrowing ceiling from 21.6 billion kwacha to 29.1 billion kwacha. Ms. Mukelabai said the increased borrowing was a concern because much of the supplementary allocation went towards settling arrears and meeting wage obligations rather than funding development priorities. She warned that the spending pressures could have consequences for programs aimed at reducing poverty, particularly if resources were diverted from social and development programs to meet recurrent expenditure.
As an organization, we have completed our review of Zambia's 2026 mid-year budget and economic performance. The review shows a mixed picture in terms of performance. Economic growth, lower inflation, a stronger kwacha, and progress on debt restructuring are encouraging. However, the national budget was under clear strain during the first 6 months of 2026. The main pressures around this fiscal strain that we're able to see are lower than planned revenue, a 26.3 billion supplementary budget, increased domestic borrowing, and high debt service costs. Together, these pressures reduced the funding available for social and development programs. We also note that government collected less revenue than what was planned in the period of review. Total revenue and grants were below target. Most revenue lines have actually underperformed. The value-added tax was significantly below target, while income tax was the main exception and performed above target. Government has explained the need for a 26.3 billion supplementary budget, which was presented this year. Higher public service wages, fuel price pressures, maize purchases, and underpaid Farmer Import Support Program obligations are amongst the justifications that have been put forward by the government for this supplementary budget. To finance the resulting gap, government authorized 7.5 billion in additional domestic borrowing, lifting the year's net domestic borrowing authorized from 21.6 billion to 29.1 billion.
The Competition and Consumer Protection Commission (CCPC) has alerted motorists in Zambia over a global recall affecting 11 Land Rover Defender, Discovery and Range Rover vehicles imported into the country due to a potential driver's airbag safety fault. The recall affects certain models manufactured between 2019 and 2026, with 250,857 vehicles affected globally. According to information provided to CCPC by the COMESA Competition and Consumer Commission, the safety concern involves the connection between the driver's airbag and the clock spring, which can develop fretting corrosion over time. This may increase resistance in the driver's airbag circuit and potentially prevent the airbag from deploying properly during a crash. The affected vehicles include 69,685 Land Rover Range Rover models manufactured between July 8, 2021 and June 3, 2026. 83,620 Land Rover Discovery models produced between September 14, 2020 and June 4, 2026, and 97,552 Land Rover Defender models manufactured between October 16, 2019 and May 28, 2026. The CCPC said the recall has already been implemented in countries including South Africa and the United States. The Commission has engaged Jaguar Land Rover importers and distributors operating in Zambia to help identify affected vehicles and ensure owners receive the necessary remedial action. Owners of affected vehicles have been advised to visit an unauthorized Jaguar Land Rover dealership or local importer or distributor where a lubricant will be applied to the connected terminals free of charge. The CCPC said consumers should take the recall seriously and respond promptly because product recalls help address identified safety risks and prevent possible harm. Consumers who need further information or encounter difficulties accessing the recall remedy have been encouraged to contact the CCPC through its official communication channels. Moving on in the news, the Food Reserve Agency, FRA, has bought more than 680,000 metric tons of maize from farmers since opening its satellite depots on 29 July 2026, pushing the country's total maize stocks above 2 million tons. FRA board chairperson Suresh Desai said the agency had purchased 680,914 metric tons of grade A white maize and 11.56 metric tons of paddy rice as of latest update. Mr. Desai said the FRA had paid farmers 3.4 billion kwacha for the maize delivered, with payments continuing. He said the agency entered the 2026 marketing season with a carry-over stock of about 1.4 million metric tons of maize from the 2024-2025 season.
All will remember our crop buying point opened for business on the 29th of July, and we have been operational now for something like 3 weeks, within which an astonishing 680,000 metric tons of maize has been purchased by the Food Reserve Agency from our hardworking farmers. And against this purchase, a total of exceeding 3.4 billion kwacha has been paid out to the farmers. And the balance is being very swiftly processed after carrying out the necessary verification processes. That payment is also flowing. We are still in our payments to the farmers. I'm pleased to say that we are still able to pay, and we are paying within the 3 days that our head of state has asked for us to achieve. So we are on track on the payments, we are on track in terms of purchasing, and the stocks are building up very, very rapidly. The maize carryover stock from the previous season, as we have previously explained, was 1.4 million metric tons in the strategic reserve, which was built up by the FRA in the previous season. Maize paid for and held in safe storage for purposes of ensuring food security in the country.
The Zambia Army and police have seized quantities of cannabis and other suspected illicit drugs during a joint operation in Lusaka's Chiwolia township. The operation took place at about 11:10 hours after officers at Chiwolia police post requested support amid concerns over criminal activity in the area. The joint patrol initially found the area calm, but later spotted individuals allegedly displaying prohibited substances in public. The suspects fled when they saw the security officers leaving behind packages containing the suspected narcotics. The joint team recovered the abandoned substances and handed them over to Chiwolia police post for examination and further investigations. Police will determine the nature and quantity of the substances before taking further action in accordance with the law. The operation forms part of the efforts by security agencies to tackle drug trafficking and other criminal activities in areas identified as crime hotspots. And that particular story takes us to our second and final set of commercials, but do join us for international and sports news when we come back. Do stay tuned.
From time immemorial, we have had different types of lighting options, from those that can burn down our investments in minutes to those that dig holes in our pockets due to constant replacement and huge consumption of our ZESCO units. Savenda Electric introduces the new and advanced electric bulb with cutting-edge technology of LED that has low power consumption, gives out bright white light, and lasts up to 25,000 hours. Savenda Electric manufactures all types of LED light, like plastic LED fluorescent tubes, downlights, ceiling lights, outdoor fittings, and solar street lights made to customer specifications. Let's live on the bright side of life by choosing the wide range of Savenda electric lighting solutions that are available in all leading stores and supermarkets countrywide. For orders, call 0962 642 490 or email jnbunda@savenda.com or pchabula@savenda.com.
Are you looking for a reliable and efficient courier company with international standards? Then let UBZ Courier, your trusted partner in swift and secure deliveries, be your ultimate choice. Whether it's a small package or a hefty consignment, UBZ Courier handles it all, locally and internationally. Our modern call center ensures personalized attention for every client. For seamless deliveries within Zambia and beyond, trust UBZ Courier. Call us now on +260 763 062 680 or visit us at plot number 15 Mwapona Road, Woodlands, Lusaka, Zambia. UBZ Courier, a world-class brand that can be trusted.
Welcome back and thank you so much for still joining us on the Camnet News Desk. And now in international news. Hundreds of people took to the streets of the Tunisian capital on Thursday, calling for the ousting of President Kais Saied and the restoration of democracy. It follows a July protest coinciding with the anniversary of his dismissal of government and suspension of parliament in 2021. But the demonstration also comes amid growing economic pressures during a summer of extreme heat that has left many Tunisians short of water and electricity. The heat wave pushed electricity demand to record levels and led state-owned utility STEG to introduce rationing measures in several regions. The power cuts also affected water pumping stations, exacerbating long-running concerns over access to drinking water in parts of the country. Here's a roundup of international stories courtesy of Africa News.
Hundreds of people took to the streets of the Tunisian capital on Thursday, calling for the ousting of President Kais Saied and the restoration of democracy. It follows a July protest coinciding with the anniversary of his 2021 suspension of parliament and comes amid growing economic pressures and deteriorating service delivery. I'm trying to defend my country because I see it heading towards the abyss without any programs or planning. The country's hit a wall. There's no water or electricity. What I see is that the country's going backwards while other countries have moved ahead of us. The protest was called for by the umbrella initiative NAFAS, which brings together ordinary citizens and the opposition. People are also angry about an agreement with the European Union that effectively turns Tunisia into Europe's border guard, trapping thousands of migrants inside the country. The Memorandum of Understanding on Migration signed with Italy is not binding and can be reviewed. You can negotiate with the Italian government or the European Union and review it because it's a Memorandum of Understanding, not a formal contract or official agreement. Since 2021, SAIED has presided over increasing restrictions on independent media, civil society and any dissenting voices.
The Central African Republic has shut an artisanal gold mine near the Cameroon border after a deadly landslide on Tuesday. The mines minister puts the official death toll at 49, including 34 Central Africans, 13 Cameroonians and 2 Chadians. Several local sources, however, report more than 100 deaths, with many still missing. Indeed, we left fast and drove all night and arrived in Zambia around 4 a.m. Unfortunately, we weren't able to find our brother. He's still in the ground. Despite the fact that he's dead, we wanted to bring him a drink, but unfortunately, we did not find him. In the end, we are forced to return like that. 7 people were taken to hospital while rescue operations have been suspended as the unstable pit continues to collapse and flood waters rise. Authorities have barred access to the site while security personnel remain deployed in the area. The mine's closure is also raising wider questions about safety in the country's informal gold sector, where weak oversight and dangerous working conditions have repeatedly turned mining sites into scenes of deadly tragedy. 20 migrants deported from the United States have arrived in Liberia, marking the first group under a new agreement that could eventually see up to 1,200 people sent to the West African country. The group landed at Roberts International Airport near Monrovia on Thursday. The deal is part of a wider U.S. migration crackdown under the Trump administration, which has reached agreements with countries to accept deportees who are not their nationals. Liberian officials say those arriving could include people from Africa, North and South America, as well as the Caribbean. They will be allowed to seek asylum in Liberia or leave the country if they choose. Immigration lawyers have criticized such arrangements, arguing they can create a legal route for sending asylum seekers to countries they did not originally come from. The U.S. State Department specifically saying enforcing the administration's immigration policies remain a top priority.
And finally, in sports news this evening, FC MUZA will begin their 2026 MTN FAR Super League transition season campaign with an away fixture against NAPSA Stars at Riz Arena on October 3. The Elegant Dynamites will open their Stream A campaign on the road before returning to Nakambala Stadium to host Kansanshi Dynamos on October 10. Coach Noel Puri's side will then travel to Chilawombwe for a Week 3 encounter against Konkola Blades on October 14. MUZA will return home for consecutive fixtures, hosting Makeni All-Stars on October 17 before facing Power Dynamos on October 24. The Mazabuka Bay side will then travel to Chingola to take on Changa Rangers on October 31. MUZA will face Zanaco FC on October 4 before hosting Nkana FC at Nakambala Stadium on November 18. The Elegant Dynamites will complete their first round fixtures with an away trip to Solwezi to face Trident FC on November 25. The opening fixture against NAPSA Stars will provide Piri side with an immediate test away from home as they seek to make a strong start to the transitional campaign. And that sporting item brings us to the end of this edition of Main News on Camnet TV. But before we go, a recap of stories that made headlines. State House rejects claims of arbitrary arrests in Zambia. Police refute claims that Patrick MWANSA died in custody. Supplementary budget risks squeezing social spending, says CSPR. In international news, new protests in Tunisia calling for ousting of President Kais Saied. In sports news, FC MUZA opens Super League transition season against NAPSA Stars. We now look at the Camnet verse for the day, coming from the book of Hebrews chapter 10, verse 23. It reads, "Let us hold fast the profession of our faith without wavering, for he is faithful that promised." That ends the Bible reading, and that concludes this edition of Main News on Camnet TV. But dear viewer, like always, do remember that Camnet TV is not just another channel. Now showing on Topstar channel 106, streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and on the CamStream app. Now, on behalf of the entire production team, I'm Tapelo Joe Smarter. Good evening and God bless.